Excuse me, sir. I hope you don't mind my saying, but this is a huge waste of time. Marky Mark tried to warn you, 20th Century Fox executives. He tried to warn you. You should have felt the vibrations. Just the good vibrations! Ape and human love sensations! Field vibrations, good vibrations. It's just the good vibrations that I wish I would have felt while watching this. Rewatching this somehow made me even more concerned that 20th Century Fox had lost their minds years ago. Yeah, let's just get to it. I'm John Renton with the retro view of Planet of the Apes from 2001, the reboot from Tim Burton. My oh my, no wonder Tim Burton basically said he'd rather jump out a goddamn window than direct a sequel to this. His words, not mine. Just Google Tim Burton, Planet of the Apes 2001. You'll probably find some interview clips. This movie was an atrocity. Not that the original 1968 classic is exactly the greatest goddamn sci-fi movie ever. It does have some cult classic status. You blew it up, damn you all to hell. There are a couple cast members from the original in this. Linda Harrison and the late, well, maybe not so great Charlton Heston. Yay, he's dead. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just celebrating the fact that Charlton Heston has been dead for 16 years. So there we go. Yeah, Tim Burton, he's done a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of movies. Some really, really good, and some not so great. But yeah, no wonder Tim Burton decided he wanted to do his own shit. Because, look, I'm not saying that Tim Burton maybe was the best director for a Planet of the Apes reboot, remake, whatever. But, God, he could have done so much better if there wasn't so much studio interference. Apparently, they had about 7 or 8 alternate endings. And the one they went with somehow was the one they thought was the best idea. Oh, it'll lead to a sequel. A loaded cast as well. Speaking of loaded, I think the writers for this were loaded. I mean, they had to have been. Possibly loaded, maybe a loaded gun was held to their goddamn head, because there's no reason why 3 writers that had some talent, and had some movies that they had done, better in the past, somehow they were only able to come up with this. We had William Broyles Jr., which just sounds like a name way too snooty for this. Apollo 13 and Castaway. One was actually a pretty good Tom Hanks movie. The other was Castaway. Well, son, look, the movie actually was well done, but maybe I'll retro-review it at some point if I hate myself. And then we have Mark Rosenthal, who did Jewel of the Nile. That's something I will retro-review at some point. And Mona Lisa Smile. That's quite the difference. And also Lawrence Connor, who did Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. And then they had to go around for a quest for a different distributor, because apparently that one really, really tanked badly. He also did Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. I don't even want to say the word like I want to, because then I just want to take the O out. So, Mark Wahlberg of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and that will never be forgotten. Also a man that has a bit of a sordid past. Read up about Mark Wahlberg and controversy. You'll know what I mean. Captain Leo Davidson is on a ship that's just out somewhere. I mean, it doesn't really look like the most wieldy ship to fly around. Just kind of sit there in the vastness of space. But yeah, he's experimenting with a particular chimp that I kept wanting to call Percocet, so that's just what I'm going to call him. Because I'm not going to take this movie seriously, and why should anybody else? He is experimenting with this chimp. In the sense, we're going to send him out on manned flights. And there are other chimps there as well. As if there isn't enough foreshadowing that these chimps are going to end up becoming the apes that evolved from man. Ooh, 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 ooh. So yeah, after Percocet decides to go off and do, I know what his name is, I don't care. He ends up going through a time warp. Let's do the time warp again. Mark Wahlberg goes after him because he must return the ape to his own time. And ends up crash landing on a planet where apes have evolved from men. Yeah. Alternate dimensions and all that stuff. And look, I don't mind updating that because that sort of makes sense. But at the same time, when the 68 version, even with its issues, like the fact that it's about 25 minutes longer than it needs to be, and yeah, this has more, I guess, I don't know if I want to say A-list talent, but at least, more loaded talent, even though there were some good people in the first one. You have Tim Roth, who plays Thade, General Thade. Tim Roth playing the bad guy in a movie. Color me goddamn shocked. And you have various other people. The late, great Michael Clark Duncan. I am sad now. Apparently a genuinely nice guy. Really talented actor. Huge, also. Massive man. Not surprised he passed away the way he did, unfortunately. Helena Bonham Carter plays Ari instead of Zira. She's the ape doctoress, I guess, that falls in love with the astronaut. And also have Paul Giamatti, and no matter how much ape makeup you put on him, it's still Paul Giamatti. You can tell before he opens his mouth. It's worse than Roddy McDowall because you can instantly tell. You could maybe sort of buy into somebody could be just doing an impersonation of Roddy McDowall. Nobody would be doing an impersonation of Paul Giamatti. There is only one Paul Giamatti, and thank fuck for that, as good as he was in The Holdovers and other things. So you have David Warner. Not that you could tell who he is, except it's painfully obvious. You have Chris Christopherson running around, panicked, covered in hair and dirt. So Chris Christopherson normally. Lisa Marie, not Michael Jackson's... Wait, Michael Jackson. Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis, Jesus Christ, I fucking got that wrong. Well, she actually was with Michael Jackson, but I almost said Michael Jackson's daughter. That would have been totally goddamn wrong. Deep Roy, yes, the one that played the Oompa Loompa later in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reboot that Tim Burton did, and because he did so many stunts and roles, he actually upped his salary to $1 million. He demanded his salary be up to $1 million. So there wasn't so much shortfall. I'm sorry. I'm not. So Linda Harrison was in this. She was a woman in the cart, and she was in her 50s and looked fucking incredible. And Charlton Heston played Zaius. Dr. Zaius. You know, this review doesn't even deserve that. This movie sucked. Set in 2029, so these apes got to get started on this shit fast because we are fast approaching. Yeah, it was 2001, but did anybody really believe by 2029 apes were going to be taking over? We already have some idiots that basically make apes look smart, you know, running around being morons. So, $100 million budget, $176.4 million in today's money. So we're adding about three quarters of that. We're not going double time, but $68.5 million opening, pretty good. $120.8 million in today's money. $180 million U.S. gross. So word traveled fast that this movie wasn't that great. $317.6 million in today's money. $362.2 million worldwide. Just under $640 million in today's money. Yeah, trouble with production, and Tim Burton basically hated. He didn't hate the cast. He enjoyed working with the cast. Tim Roth was not a fan of Charlton Heston. And you know why. Because he was a gun nut. Fuck Charlton Heston. I'm glad he's dead. So, yeah, 7 or 8 alternate endings, all that stuff. Tim Burton did the best he could. And that opening line, excuse me, sir, you know, I hope you don't mind my saying this is a waste of time. Yeah, and it was a waste of time. It was a massive waste of time. They were looking for love in Oberon places. Oberon was the name of the, I believe it was the name of the ship. I really, quite frankly, don't care if it was the name of a collection of amoebas, because the collection of amoebas on that ship would have been more interesting. So, yeah, Percocet basically gets taken away. Ha ha, oh, hee hee, ha ha. And after crash landing, he runs into Chris Christopherson all panicked. Estella Warren was in this. Remember Estella Warren when they thought she was going to be a big thing? I'm sure she's nice. I'm sure she's lovely. She was also thrust into the limelight when she was in her early 20s. I remember liking her. She's not much older than I am, to be perfectly honest. She was more than a couple years before me. She looked good, and then she tried acting. And the acting wasn't that great. I mean, at least the acting here. And I remember her acting in Driven, which was not good. Look, as long as she's part of an ensemble cast and not relied on to be the lead, she, I guess, is acceptable. But she looks good. So, yeah, basically, very good production values. Rick Baker did a great goddamn job with the stuff. And then sometimes the prosthetics and the makeup looked a little bit weird. Probably because 20th Century Fox said, make it look more fake. So, yeah, Ari falls for Leo. Look, there's obviously spoilers, not only because this movie is 20 plus years old, but if you have seen the 68 version, this basically is following it beat for beat. They get Leo and Estella Warren's character together. I know she had a name, but does it matter? No. They were servants and everything, and then the guy who played Shang Tsung was an ape. Secret Asian man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had to. He was in this. Not saying your soul is mine. I would have actually found that amusing. Everybody's a servant, and then Michael Clark Duncan yells, "Bow your heads!" And then Tim Roth opens, Mark Wahlberg's mouth is looking, is there a soul in there? Tim Roth at least was hamming it up. I will give him that much credit. And, yeah, basically, Thade is just all-powerful, and he's just massively evil. Ari helps him escape out the goddamn thing. All this happens really quickly, by the way, because I guess they felt that they didn't want to do as much padding as they did for the first one before they got out of the city. So they decided basically to make sure to note that humans outnumber the apes, and that this society is sort of, I guess, in its infancy, or, kinda. I mean, for all the fact that there's so many goddamn humans and everything, they enslave them, you really think that these probably could be taken over. I mean, as powerful as apes are, So Chris Christopherson says, I don't want to be in this movie anymore. Kill me off. I'm sure that's why his character died the way it did. At one point, a couple soldiers discover the ship, and then Tim Roth does Tim Roth things and kills them with little shurikens. Ding. And when you find them, kill them all. And, yeah, we're not just soldiers, we're friends. Friends. And, yeah, the smarter we get, the more dangerous we become. As, Mark Wahlberg says about humans. Kind of like Mark Wahlberg becoming more successful despite really kind of being a mediocre actor, if we're being perfectly honest. So, he discovers this shipwreckage in the forbidden area. Can't call it the forbidden zone. We should have been zoned off and put in the zone of interest. No, I'm not taking that back, but whatever. It was called the Kalima, which actually was short for Caution Live Animals. And Mark Wahlberg did a time jump. Holy shit. Now he's panicked. All the people looking for him died. These chimps that were there evolved, and now they've taken over. And even though it was a few days for him, it was many years for them. So, you have Ari and Kroll, that's the Shang Tsung guy, try to go and reason with Thade. That doesn't work. He brands her hand, and, you want to get an army together and attack me? Fine, we'll do that. Mark Wahlberg discovers there's still some fuel left in one of the tanks, or reactors, or whatever, and decides after the first wave of apes comes down, he blows them up, and fries them, just really fries these apes. And everybody's just standing there, on the opposite side, like Michael Clark Duncan's like, huh. And Thade's like, wonder what we should do. Let's send more. Well, sir, let's send more. Also, there's this overriding thing of this deity called Seamus. Who doesn't love being filled with Seamus? That's Semos, by the way. And, yeah, the final fight, and I'm not talking about, Mayor Hager or Guy or whoever the hell the other one was. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, like, the final fight where they're just beating each other. The violence doesn't register. Suddenly, Percocet shows up, and they think it's Seamus. So, Tim Roth goes absolutely insane. Throws the chimp and just hurls him. There's a laser gun involved. He gets a hold of it, but Mark Wahlberg manages to trap him in there, so he trapped the ape, and the ape's freaking out. And by the way, Michael Clark Duncan finally realizes, hey, wait a second. You've been lying to me this whole goddamn time. And, yeah, so Thade cracks. And Mark Wahlberg returns to his own time, but oh, no. He messed up the timeline. Now Thade was originally a president of Earth, and now Earth is enslaved by apes. Fortunately, we didn't get a sequel to this. We had to wait another 10 years before we got Rise of the Planet of the Apes and then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes, which I will be retro-viewing. But yeah, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch certainly did not succeed here. Let it never be forgotten that that's how he started. He can feel bad about it, but honestly, it's probably the best acting he did for a while. Nevertheless, yeah, Planet of the Apes 2001 was ass. Real ass. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.